and 3 others after failing to appear in court to testify in the 1 billion shillings Finland education scholarship scandal case. This comes after lawyers representing the 5 filed an application before the court to challenge the order that was issued by Senior Principal Magistrate Peter Ndege on Monday morning.
Indeed, the warrant of arrest has been suspended as it is until Wednesday, when we shall be appearing in court. We shall know then whether the governor will be attending in person, but we shall be in court as his legal officers. We shall be in court as his legal counsel to offer necessary support and to offer necessary explanation. The governor is very committed to attending court and giving evidence whenever it's required.
A 28-year-old man is in police custody after being nabbed ferrying a bank consignment worth 3.6 million Kenya shillings. The 28-year-old, who was in the company of 3 others who escaped, was arrested after police officers from Chavakali police station in Vihiga County were tipped off concerning a vehicle suspected to be transporting dubious items along the Kakamega-Kisumu highway before the vehicle was intercepted at Chavakali. Arnold Adidi with a full story.
In the wee hours of Monday, police officers at Chavakali were notified of a Subaru motor vehicle traveling along Kakamega-Kisumu highway suspected to be ferrying contrabands. Immediately, the officers swung into action, laying a trap that led to the interception of this motor vehicle that had 4 people on board, 3 of whom escaped. Upon inspection, 5 90-kilogram bags of marijuana were seized by the police, the suspect revealing that the illegal consignment was headed to Nakuru from Busia County.
Ndiposa officers kazana na kimbiza hiyo gari vile ilikataa kusimama for about 200 meters. Gari iliposimama, occupants 3 waliweza kutoroka, lakini tuliweza kushika mmoja ambaye ametupatia information. Gari ilipofanywa inspection, tukakuta ya kwamba walikuwa wamebeba bangi ambaye ni gunia 5, na vile walikuwa wamebeba substance ambaye tunashuku inaweza kuwa ni ethanol.
Vihiga County Police Boss Peter Katam says that a search operation is underway to find the 3 other suspects who escaped and also to establish the target market for the outlawed hub.
Hizi madawa za kulevya nyingi zinatoka nje, pombe za kulevya pia nyingi zinatoka nje, na tumeweka mikakati kuhakikisha kwamba hizo pombe tunazishika, suspect tunapeleka kotini.
The Vihiga County Police Commander has added that police officers have intensified patrols on all roads in the area, further cautioning people in the car hire businesses to be careful of the types of individuals who hire their cars.
Vile tunataka kusihi mashule, colleges and universities wakuwe waangalifu, kwa sababu utakuta ya kwamba hizi madawa nyingi ni kama zinalenga our institutions of learning.
Arnold Adidi, TV47.
Thank you, Arnold. Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli risks 6 months imprisonment after High Court Judge Lawrence Mugambi found the police chief in contempt of the court for disobeying court orders. The court had for the 6th time summoned Masengeli to appear in court on Monday to shed more light into the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of 3 people in Kitengela, but instead he was represented by Deputy Inspector General of Kenya Police Service Eliud Lagat. Masengeli, through his lawyers, stating he was in Wajir County over security matters. Moig William was present during the proceedings and filed the following report.
Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli Monday was expected to appear in court to explain the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of 3 people in Kitengela who have been missing since the 19th of August. However, for the 6th time, the police boss nabbed the summons. Judge Lawrence Mugambi ruling that impunity and open defiance cannot be allowed in the conduct of the now police boss, which undermines the rule of law.
Ends of institutions must now be held accountable for ensuring constitutional values and principles are adherent to, particularly on a matter of human rights and the rule of law. The conduct of the first respondent has held this court at ransom. The court is no longer able to ascertain the truth of what might have happened to the petitioners.
However, in the now 6th summon that the Acting Inspector General ignored, the Deputy Inspector General Kenya Police Eliud Lagat was present representing his boss, with Mugambi ruling that a criminal suit cannot be delegated.
The Bill of Rights that is supposed to safeguard the rights of Kenyans is no longer matters to some. It is the responsibility of the court to restore accountability to the people of Kenya by holding the persons, however mighty, accountable.
In the Monday afternoon court session, the judge, in a dramatic twist, revealed that there had been several attempts to interfere with the court proceedings, further summoning Senior Police Commandant Lazarus Opicho, who has been ordered to appear in court on Friday.
Now the end of VVIP protection unit in the police, which the court considers as bordering on intimidation. I would thus order that Mr. Lazarus Opicho be and seen by someone to explain the conduct that included calling my bodyguard and the driver, trying to ascertain my whereabouts behind my back.
The petitioners in the proceedings, represented by Law Society of Kenya President Faith Odhiambo, welcome the decision on Masengeli, highlighting that the acting police chief should lead by example by respecting court orders and the Constitution.
The scenes that we are seeing today, attempts to intimidate the courts, forced disappearance, abductions, arbitrary arrest, are things that were a general occasion before the new constitution. And as the Law Society, we are saying we are not going to allow this to come back.
Mugambi has said Friday for Masengeli's sentencing. Mogi William, TV 47.
Thank you, Mwege. A section of university students across the country called their demonstrations today against the new education funding model that they termed to be punitive and discriminatory. However, this comes after the government announced that it will establish 2 working committees to review the new funding model. Anastasia Mukabi reports.
This is a picture queue of a section of university students protesting against the new education fund model. They termed the new model as punitive and discriminatory.
I always told the government that this new funding model, it is not effective. Why? Because you are giving us a lot of loans, and then you are also oppressing those who are paying school fees.
Funding model imefanya fee ipande, sitafanya satellite campuses zikufe, na hatuwezi enda sote main campuses.
The students expressed their dissatisfaction with the new funding model, arguing that it will deepen inequality in education by denying many financially disadvantaged students access to higher education.
Wameadmitiwa kama hii wiki, last week, ni wengi ni band 4 na 5. Kumaanisha the band 1 wale ambao wazazi wao hawana kitu, hawajafika shule, wako bado majumbani.
I'm going to see a very huge dropout rate in our universities.
However, the students denounced the student leaders who failed to protest, claiming that the leaders were bribed.
We agreed as universities that Tesa will be our day to reject the new funding model. However, we have gotten information that some of the student leaders were being seen behind the tents, which is okay.
Tumeamua kutetea wa comrades, hatutaenda kulingana na wale wanafunzi wengine wa chuo zingine.
This, they are now calling on the government through the Ministry of Education to consider going back to the old funding model.
Let us find a better way of funding our university education.
Wanafunzi hatutaki, tumekataa, tunataka kurudishiwa the old funding model, na hii new funding model ishuke kabisa, kwa sababu wanatesa comrades na wanatesa watu wenye wanaingia university.
Anastasia Mkabi, TV 47.
Thank you, Anastasia. The family of the slain 15-year-old Shadrach Oruko, who died after allegedly being shot by a police officer, says that they will not accept today's post-mortem results after the government pathologist Peter Ndegwa stated that he did not see the bullet's exit point or the bullet to implicate police involvement in the matter, an issue they say has left them with more questions than answers.
6 days after Shadrach Oruko, a 15-year-old boy who was allegedly shot by a police officer, the family now says that they will not accept today's post-mortem results after the government pathologist Peter Ndegwa stated that he did not find the bullet nor see the bullet's exit point in order to implicate police involvement in the matter, an issue that has left the family with more questions than answers.
Sasa sisi tunangoja tu tupate ukweli. Sababu pale kwa postmortem tumeambiwa kwamba huenda ilikuwa sharp object aje na mtoto alitoka kama mpigwa risasi. Sisi wenyewe, mimi mwenyewe ndio nilibeba mwili nikiitoa kule chini penye alikuwa amepigwa risasi huko chini, nikiileta kwa polisi hapa Mkuru kwa Ruben.
Postmortem ripoti zenye wanatupea hatujaridhika nazo sisi na ambazo hatujapendezwa nazo, manake mtoto alipigwa risasi. Inasemekana aje risasi yuko kwenye tumbo.
Shadrach's family maintains that their son was shot by a police officer from one of the city stations in a shooting incident that saw nearby shops sprayed with bullets, and so will not accept any other speculations until an x-ray is conducted on the body of their kin as directed by the government pathologist.
Hapa mahali penye wanatuchanganya kabisa, tunashangaa. Tunatuambia sharp object na marisasi zilipigwa hadi zikapita kwa maduka za watu, ikapasua friji ya wenyewe, kila kitu iko, picha ziko.
Risasi imeenda wapi? Tunataka tujue hiyo risasi ilienda wapi. DCI wafanye uchunguzi yao, kiunaga ubaga wajue risasi venye ilipiga mtoto ilitoka ikaenda wapi.
We are not yet satisfied with what has been presented, and we have to await the x-ray to be done so that we can get whatever it is that caused the death of 15-year-old Shadrach.
The family is urging relevant authorities to take immediate actions against the police officer alleged to have shot Shadrach, further claiming that the witnesses are afraid to speak out due to threats and intimidations. They have also called upon the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to keenly conduct investigations with fairness and transparency to ensure justice prevails.
Sababu already our family members wameogopa hata kwenda kuandikisha kule DCI. Sababu wanahofia maisha yao yamo hatarini. Ningeomba hawa afisa wetu wa upelelezi DCI, kuna shughuli pia wanaendeleza, tunaomba pia waiendeleze kwa utaratibu na haki ionekane.
These are the section of human rights activists strongly condemned police brutality allegedly by officers from Ruben police station, as well as the killing of Shadrach. They are now calling upon the Independent Policing Oversight Authority to expedite the investigations and ensure that justice is served to Shadrach's family.
We are appealing to not just the DCI but also IPOA to urgently intervene and ensure that justice is done.
Samira Mohammed for TV 47.
Thank you, Samira. In the next few years, internet costs will reduce by a third despite the slow extension of government broadband connectivity, which stands at a mere 12,000 kilometers. New entrants coming into the market as Tier 3 providers are now urging the government to reduce charges on wayleave imposed on fiber cable networks, saying this puts them at a disadvantage against global giants such as Starlink, who come in with cheaper prices.
During his inauguration, President William Ruto promised 100,000 kilometers of last-mile broadband connectivity meant to avail internet for an ambitious program to employ millions of youth. Fast forward to 2 years later, the outlay stands at a little over 12,000 kilometers, triggering the private sector to fill in the gaps, albeit with many challenges.
In terms of collaboration points, we do see a lot of opportunity to collaborate, even with Starlink, and we're very excited to see what it is that they have on offer from a macro perspective, because, you know, it's not about the end use capability that they offer to homes. It's about how it is that we then enable more providers to be onboarded onto the internet services platform. So yes, we're looking forward to collaborating as well.
High initial cost and wailing charges is holding back new Tier 3 internet providers who are already facing stiff competition against Tier 1 telcos.
How do we then extend these services from the pickup point of the KPC infrastructure inwards into the country where the services are needed the most? So currently we have some counties that are charging very expensive rates, annually rates, around almost 150 shillings per meter per year, and that of course is a very intrusive rate to allow us to deliver these services to these users.
And just when the odds are stacked against them comes in Starlink, which they admit would promote competition but would tilt an already skewed scale.
This is a space. Technology is the future. For everything we do today is about technology.
Hibak Said for TV 47.
Sports News.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
You're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do
and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Indeed, it is exactly 41 minutes past the hour. Thank you so much for staying with the Daily Report. I am George Maringa, delighted that you've joined us and stayed with us, for those who have been with us since the start of the show, as we look at school safety. To better understand the issues, especially on tragedy, fires, and to be able to just see what is the way forward. We've seen what is happening with other schools, the dormitories that are on fire, scenarios that are quite disheartening, of course, coming after that tragic incident at Hillside Academy, Endarasha. And to further, have this conversation on school safety, I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by none other than Jose Njoki Imwengunjiri. He is a fire safety officer and also works with Africa Fire Mission. Thank you for joining us, Jose.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Karibu sana. Welcome to the program. Joining us virtually is Dr. John Mukundi. He holds a doctorate in economics. He's also a specialist on school affairs, and he will be talking to us about, issues of schools, because he is not only an economist, but he's also the proprietor of Achievers College, Embu, and Fanaka Academy, Embu. Good evening, Dr. and thank you for joining us on the Daily Report tonight. Dr. can you hear me? Brilliant. We shall be, having that conversation. And I want to kick it off right here in studio with you, Jose. Mm-hmm. You bear the scars of an incident that occurred to you. Mm-hmm. And even as, show us these scars, you could talk to us about, just a brief history of exactly what happened to you, back in the day.
Yeah, it was back in the day, as you say. I was involved in a fire when I was 4 months old.
4 months?
Yes, I was 4 months old, and my house help left me in the house to go pick up my older sister in school. And she left the stove on, and then the house that my mom and dad were living in, at that time they were at work, caught fire. And that's how I succumbed to my injuries.
To what degree were they?
They were third-degree burns.
Third-degree burns.
Yes, I was hospitalized at Kenyatta National Hospital. Mm. Yes.
Third-degree burns, if you could just elaborate what exactly happened.
So what happens, the skin is the biggest organ in the body. And when you talk third degree, it means the fire goes up to the third layer of the skin, and then it burns quite a substance of your body parts. Yeah, so for me, it burnt my face, my hands, only those. Mm. That's actually what got burnt. And as you can see on my hand, I lost most of my limbs on the left hand. This actually was done reconstructively when I was 4 months old. Mm-hmm. For me, at least when I get older, I can be able to use my left hand as normal as possible. Okay. And as fate would have it, I've been able to adapt. I've been able to get the support from my family, from my workmates, from my friends. Yes, so that's how I've been able to live.
Well, sana Jose, for what happened back in the day. When now you saw the news over the weekend on Friday of what happened at Hillside and Endarasha, what came to mind, even as a firefighter?
First of all, allow me to send my condolences to the families. So far, we have 21 lives lost. I really condone with their families. I cannot imagine what the parents are going through, What came through my mind was...
Did it remind you of your past?
Yes, it did. And with what currently I'm doing, or rather what we're doing at Africa Fire Mission, we are going to schools and really vigorously, deliberately going to give these fire safety talks. All of a sudden I get news on the TV. I felt deflated. I was like, wow, are these efforts that we're doing making any progress? But then there is hope. Mm-hmm. There is hope in the system, and there is hope Right now, what we just need to do is to pick up from where we have, should I say, dropped the ball, and then get busy and get moving.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Jose has come with, some items, some paraphernalia to be able to just illustrate and demonstrate to us, how to mitigate a fire incident. We shall also be getting deeper into this. But let me bring in our virtual guest.
Absolutely.
That is Dr. John Mukuru, who holds a doctorate in economics. Dr. Good evening once again. Thank you for making time. I'd like to, pick your mind, especially on a document that is available for Kenyans and one that has perhaps been touted to continue gathering dust, the Safety Standards Manual for Schools in Kenya. And perhaps I'll begin by asking you, how compliant are you with that manual in both of your institutions?
Thank you so much for having me yet again. And first of all, let me pass my condolences to the families of the students who lost their lives at Hillside School. And I must also say that sometimes it is just an accident. Sometimes it is out of carelessness. Sometimes it is as a result of incompetent work. But all in all, I believe proper safety care requires to be put in place. And we at Achievers College and we at Royal Fanaka Academy, we have really put all the measures in place. We train our people on first aid. We have also proper capacity of the equipments that are needed. We have fire extinguishers. We have also fire exit and evacuation places. We have been checked by the Ministry of Education, and I believe all that has been put in place. And I believe it is something that every other institution requires to do so that we do not have such incidences, especially those boarding schools. There are some boarding schools where they are also boarding in those particular places. It is important that they take those safety measures, because the moment we have the safety measures, then we are sure that our students, we are sure that our pupils will always enjoy and we won't have such incidences in future. So safety precautions is quite important, including also fire detection things, equipments, including also the government coming in place so that we do not have issues of non-compliance of the same. So it is something that we have done in our college and also in our Royal Fanaka Academy.
Looking at the incidents that we saw, especially in this scenario of the school, ideally, who then would need to be quote unquote held to account? Who should be answering the questions? And even before we get to how then to mitigate this, from your perspective as an educationist, in terms of trying to get to the bottom of the matter, also in terms of investigations, the complexity of it all, Dr.
Yeah, one thing that I would want to say is sometimes there are always accidents.
Yes.
But also on the other hand, it is important, first of all, we ask whether the Ministry of Education, it has properly implemented the act. Yes. They need to actually check the buildings. They need to check the materials that are usually there. And therefore, we have the Ministry of Education also has a duty to check on the compliance of the people that are actually dealing with that are keeping the education institutions. But on top of that, we also have a culture as a society. As a society, we need to have that culture of complying. Because it is like in Kenya, we usually don't have that culture of complying. you realize there are so many people that would want shortcuts in life. So many a times we overlook a small bit that really would cause a safety in our institutions. Like you get some incompetent wiring technician, and once you get that incompetent wiring technician, what happens is that he does some shonde work that would cause some problem. Sometimes also you realize that where you are told to rectify by the people in the ministry, by the people that enforce compliance, it is also not done in time. So I believe that is something that we need to do. It is something that we need to always learn as a nation to have that culture. But also, we keep a lot of inflammable materials in our dormitories and in those places. Like you realize at hillside, there were also some canned goods that they were using, and that one is not. It is something that accelerated even the fire. So it is important that we also know that there are some things that we need to embark on, especially on the basic first aid things, on the basic precautions we need to really embark on so that we do not have such incidences. So I believe the buck stops with us as citizens, and the buck stops with the Ministry of Education for compliance. Once that is done, it is good.
Doctor, the education sector has, received, especially from this government, been the recipient of a lot of funding, as we see in the budget allocations. Do you think there is keen attention, especially on the safety, or are we looking at the bigger picture and forgetting matters to do with safety for learners and even for, those offering this learning, to the teachers, to the institutions as a whole? Do you think that is factored in as we budget this as a country?
Yeah, there is that particular problem of the way we are actually putting our priorities as a nation. And we know our priorities by the reason of the way we allocate some finances. So much of the finances has just been put in other areas. Like you realize there was a debate the other day that was talking about having distributed bursaries in so many positions. Like we have a bursary with the MCA, a bursary with the governor, a bursary with the Ministry of Education, any bursary. Yes. And we were saying that sometimes we scatter our resources so much. So I believe it is the high time that also the government comes with the way in which we are able to focus also on minor matters. Minor matters like student safety, minor matters like you see how compliance should be done. There is that department that is called the audit department institutions. And I believe they just check the finances. But do we have a certain department that is funded from the ministry that actually deals with the compliance? And I believe there should be such a department. And if there is such a department, then we ask ourselves, is it properly funded so that they can be going to institutions so that they can be checking what is actually happening? I believe we need to do and to pull up our socks in that matter, Mr. George.
Indeed. Thank you, Dr. Stay on the line. We shall be coming, of course, to engage further with you. Remember, our SMS line is 22047. Our WhatsApp number is also on your screen. On X, I'm at George Maringa _ or at TV47 News. Post your questions, comment, or feedback regarding the program tonight. Back to you, Jose.
Yep.
When we look at this manual that was issued by the Ministry of Education, where, or, is it as complete? And does it emphasize, do you think, on the important matters that, over time have risen to be able to mitigate emergencies, especially, scenarios such as a fire incident?
Thanks, George, for that good question. This manual was released in 2008, yeah, by then Minister Ambassador Sam Ongeri.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is the first edition. It has never been, the second edition has never come out, the third edition has never come out. Now it is 2024. You can imagine how many presidents we have changed since 2008. From 2008 till now, imagine the technology that has changed in terms of building construction, you know, in terms of the roads network and things like those. So that in place, it outright says that we need to pull up our socks, yeah, and get busy in terms of even getting even, should I say now, the second edition of this safety school manual, 2024
the
edition.
updated version.
The updated version, yes. 2024. So the question to you is no, it's still backward. However, that said, it was well broken down. And it is available on the web for free. Everybody can actually go on the internet and just look standard safety manual. And if you go on section 6.2, that's actually where the disaster risk reduction section is, that is currently hot conversation currently in Kenya.
Yes.
And it talks about issues on safety in the physical infrastructure, the dormitories, yeah, how the doors should open, for example. You find, I've entered in schools whereby you find only it's just one door, you know, and there is no exit in that particular dormitory. And if there is even a door, a second door, it's actually closed from the outside. You know, it's closed from the outside. That manual actually clearly says it's actually illegal for you to actually lock the exit door. Another thing that the manual even talks about very clearly is that the exit door needs to be clearly marked. You need to have an exit signage that even though the lights are off, you can actually be able to see with your eyes that the exit door is there. So what if you have people with disability in that particular dorm? The dorm master or the matron who sleeps with the students needs to know where these children are, so that when there is a danger, he or she needs to go and lead the other children outside and then come and guide these children with disability. So this manual is clearly telling us where we should start.
Yeah.
So the ministers or that particular administration at that time saw the need of having this manual removed, because you remember there's this fire at the Changuli boys.
Yes.
There actually 67 children got to die. You know, do you know why? The back door, because there was a door, it wasn't opening from the outside.
It was opening.
It was opening from the inside. So you can imagine the stampede of the boys who came. They all pushed on the wall, and then now it couldn't open. So the ministers at that time was like, hey guys, can we get help towards forming this particular manual?
Indeed.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Jose, let's take a break to be able to just give our viewers time to just unpack. And even as we ask you a question tonight, have you made efforts to visit the school where your learner is, where your child is, to just see the safety measures? Or are you just concerned to drop your child off and leave? Are you aware of the safety procedures? Are you aware of that manual? Have you read it? Is there an improvement that you think can be made? Even as we divulge that with our two specialists tonight, that is Jose Njuki, he is a fire safety officer, and Dr. John Mukundi, who is a proprietor of two institutions and also an expert in economics and as well as education. We are taking a short break. When we come back, that conversation continues. Please continue engaging with us.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Report with me, George Maringa. Tonight, as we look at matters school safety, my guest, Dr. John Mukundi, joining us all the way from Embu. He's a doctor who holds a doctorate in economics and also a specialist on matters education. He's also the proprietor of Achievers College Embu and Royal Fanaka Academy in Embu. In studio, we still have Hossein Joki Imwengunjiri. He's a fire safety officer with Africa Fire Mission. Jose, before you cross over to Embu, I will begin by, picking your mind on the SOPs, the ABCs of safety, especially in our schools. You go around schools teaching them and being able to, show them what happens. Talk to us about what needs to be considered, the ABCs, as in these are the reducible minimums, then perhaps over time we can progress and get, the other issues in place. What are some of the things that even as a parent, when you go in, you're taking your child, private school, public school, that you can check and say, this needs to be improved or this has not passed the check?
Thank you for that question. That's a very broad question.
Okay.
It has a very broad answer, but I'll try keep it brief. One of the things in terms of SOP, number one, the school board needs to come with a school committee, a safety school committee, whereby you find the principal or the head teacher being the chairman, and then you find the PTA members being chairman being members of that committee. You find also parents being part and parcel of that safety committee. That's a non-negotiable. So whenever I go to schools, the first thing that I usually do is to guide them through. You become a friend to them so that you just don't go to enforce. You first of all show them, hey, do you have this? If they say no, my job is to actually guide them and to show them how to do it. You as a parent, what do you need to check? Firsthand, number one, hey, just say, I need to go check where my child studies. Just frisk through the windows. The windows should not have grills. And if they have grills, the grills should be opening from the outward. And if it is opening from the outward, does it have an exit staircase? Can the baby or the children get out safely if there's any danger? Number two, are the windows, can we be able to break the windows or even maybe slide the windows for the children to get out? Have you ever thought another thing? Right now, we are unfortunate we're facing the fire tragedy. But ever thought about, for example, if we have an intruder coming in, an active shooter? What is the school prepared for an active shooting scenario? So these schools have to have what we call a safety in place strategy. When the security guys say, hey, they press the alarm, they'll know, hey, there's an active shooter. They need now to know what things to do. This is not a fire bell. This is an active shooter bell. So where do they need to go and hide? If they don't have somewhere to hide, how do we block the door so that this active shooter cannot enter the class? And it's all about just being aware in terms of the hallway. You find schools storing so many things on the hallway, and when I'm walking through, you find a broken desk, a broken chair, a dustbin, water spillage. Those are hazards, You can imagine if there's water spillage and you come and slide. There goes your hand, there goes your head, So it's important also for the school to have a policy on first aid. How do we deal with issues on first aid? If a child drops down, how do we report? How do we grab his file and what mechanism do we report even before we give any medication? Because there are some kids who are allergic to certain medicine. Even Panadol you can give, there's a reaction to Panadol. So those are the few things that parents need to be aware of. Yeah.
How about now in the dormitories? You know, also the rules, especially it is night time. Most of these incidents have happened at night. You know, talk to us about the availability of the matron or someone to chaperone the learners.
Availability of the matron is 100%. No, that's a non-negotiable. Yeah. If the matron is not feeling well, who can step in for the matron? You know, these are children, remember? George, these are children. So a child in the Kenyan Constitution is up to 18-year-old. Yeah. So no matter what, they should actually be, somebody has to be inside, you know. And they need to actually, the matron needs to have a manifest. How many children are inside the dormitory tonight? Not yesterday night, tonight. Yesterday night it was 30, today is 28. Where are the two? Are they not feeling well? Did they go for a trip? Maybe a debate somewhere else? Are they in, where are they? It needs to be clearly marked so that we don't have a situation of there's an accident and again, we cannot even be able to account for our children. You know, thank God all the children, according to the news that I've been hearing, they've all been accounted for. But after how long? That can tell you, bro, that they did not have that manifest. So the manifest needs to always be there. Yeah, one in the dorm, just in case it gets burned, and another one where? In the
classroom.
In the not in the classroom, in the office.
The office.
Yeah. Okay. Think about it in regards to a plane crashing. The pilot or whoever is in charge has the manifest. But then also in the office they have the manifest, so that they can be able to account for all the students and also the plane passengers.
Yeah. We will come now to later on to just see how to now live with the effects for the students who were injured.
Very important.
You know, a personal case scenario from you as well. Daktari, we've heard what, you know, the fire safety officer in studio is telling us, Jose, and there are issues especially concerning, you know, boarding schools, the safety in terms of, you know, is it quantity or quality in a scenario, you know, where people are also trying to ensure that they offer education, juxtapose that to the resources, even for, you know, public institutions where we see quite huge numbers that are accommodated in these dormitories. What are some of the issues that, you know, you would say need more streamlining in terms of especially the boarding facilities, Dr.
I believe the Ministry of Education, they usually, when they are giving their licenses, they usually say that an institution should have at least this number of students. It can support this number of students. And that is something that requires to be strictly followed. And that strict following should be followed by some kind of penalties. Because again, when we have situations whereby people overcrowd the dormitories, then there will be a problem. I have had the problem in Kianguli Secondary, was that of overcrowding the dormitory door, and they were unable to move out. So we require to have such kind of things so that we do not have a problem whereby some people just overcrowd the dormitory just because of some economic reasons. You know, many people are actually going for economic reasons. You are told that you can only be able to train 100 students, but because you have some more appetite for some money, you go deeper to training around 200. So such kind of things requires to be always on check, and that has to do with a little bit of compliance. But I am also thinking that the issue about other organs, proximity to help, like, you know, that case of Hillside,
Yes.
They took 5 hours so that they can be able to answer to that particular problem. 5 hours is too long, a little bit too long for such a thing to happen. If they had reduced it to around 30 minutes or 15, it would have been better, or even an hour. But now, 5 hours, it is simply brought a lot of disaster, and it amplified the situation. That is why I think that there are some organs that we have within the vicinities of the school. Like we could be having the county governments that are closer. They have fire extinguishers. Those ones can really help. We need to strengthen issues like St. John's ambulance, like the scouts, like the first aiders. And once we have such things, the response will be a little bit fast. But also training those matrons that my colleague is talking about. Those matrons requires to be trained properly, because even if they stay there and they do not know what to do regarding the fire, I believe it will also pose a certain challenge. So I believe those are some of the things, but more so it has to do with not only writing policies down, but implementing them. You remember during Michuki's time, we were told everybody should have a seat belt.
Yes.
You remember during Matiang's time, we were told every bus should be painted yellow. And we never argued. Every bus now is painted yellow. It simply means if we have a stricter cabinet secretary that will tell us this is the way to go, and he doesn't flip his eye, then I believe it will definitely happen. So I think also strictness is required.
Yeah, strictness is required. Talk to us about the drills as well. And of course, we'll pick the mind of Jose here. The drills, perhaps in your institution, how often do you do them to be able to just, ensure that the learners or, everyone in the institution is alive to the fact or to tragedies where some are accidents, of course. In terms of drills, what is the emphasis and how soon should that happen?
Yeah, we usually invite, after every 3 months, we invite some people who deal with fire safety in our institution, and not only fire safety. So we invite them in Achievers College, we invite them in Royal Fanaka Academies, and they come and they train us. They train our staff, they train our students regarding the safety of our institution in case of any emergency. But also we have other people, not only in fire, but also in disaster, general disaster management. In case we have an accident, in case we have natural disasters, in case we have security threats, all those disasters that we have, we train them. We train them how to use fire extinguishers. You realize that there are some institutions that put fire extinguishers and nobody seems to know how to use the fire extinguishers. We train them how to use fire extinguishers and other fire fighting equipment, how to use the blanket. They are taught in case such a thing happens. And I believe those ones are some of the measures that we put in place. Also, the fire exits. There are some people who have some exits, but they only know one door. It is important that you also train them that there is another place they can use when they are exiting. So it is something that we usually do, and show them also the evacuation route, and we do that regularly. Every time we must have such particular kind of education passed to our pupils and our students.
Indeed. Thank you, Dr. We'll be coming to you for the home stretch of this conversation. Jose, this scenario, especially at Hillside and afterwards, there are those who sadly pass away, and then there are survivors who live to tell the stories. Talk to us about the adaptability and, living with the scars as, as a victim as well. How do you cope moving forward? These are learners, these are young people, and you know how these groupings behave. There is usually a lot of, children are innocent. They will run away from you sometimes. They do not know how you look. You come back looking differently. In fact, for you, did you feel that there was that discrimination or there was that phobia? Did you feel neglected at some point?
Yeah, even as you're talking like that, I'm just getting flashbacks of the time that I was in school, and children can be mean, and you cannot blame them. I used to be called names, and it's not their mistake. Others never wanted to shake your hand. Others would just keep off, But then how do they get to adapt? What I'd say is after they heal or when they are healing, the family needs to really, really, really be for them. They really need to stand with the victim. In fact, I don't want to call them the victim. They are victors. These have already fought. They've come out alive. Yes, they are hurt, but they're out alive. So being victors, how does the family support? For me, I was really privileged to have a great family support. My sisters, my brothers, my mom and dad who are still alive till now. They're even forcing me to wear short-sleeved and shorts just to show my scars, because when people get to see them and I see that there's no judgment, I can really cope very well. The children at my home, at my home place, we were playing together. There were no judgment. There was no discrimination. They were like, hey, this is just a normal person who unfortunately succumbed to these injuries. And even as they move on, their parents need to go for counseling, because this is a shocker. They don't know even how to deal with this new elephant in their room, and how do we tell this? Do we tell them sorry, or do we tell them, hey, you can do it, pick up that spoon and eat? So the parents need to go for counseling and be guided on how to help this child, even the family as a whole. Yeah, and this I call for the government. If there's a possibility, they can go reach out to these families and give them this support, because also counseling is not cheap, So how do they get to support this family, and also for how long? We have a tendency in our country not being consistent, like this document that we're talking about, somebody dropped the ball, so we don't need to drop the ball right now when we come to support these families. Like the drills that they're talking about, we need to do them. And I'm happy that he's mentioned it. It's supposed to be after every 3 months, no fail. Absolutely no fail. Okay. So, and this is also the case with the support of these children. How do we get them back to the education system?
Because they will take a break for a while.
They will take a break. Yeah. How do they get to be, if they get to repeat? Because these bans, they can even take up to an year. So how do they get back to simulate back to the system, and how do we get to treat them in a very fair way and a very kind way?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And now towards because of time, we will head over to the other side of the studio for you to just show us. But I want to give Dr. an opportunity to have closing remarks. Dr. one, you can address the reopening of this, school, perhaps if you can. How soon should it reopen? There has been talk from leaders to say they would like it reopened immediately. How soon should that happen? And two, perhaps compensation to these families, to this, the reconstruction as well, even in public institutions, the funding, and perhaps your closing remarks as we wind up the program, Dr.
Yeah. So I believe the institution should open there should be a proper plan because of the kind of trauma that has been caused by that particular incident. So I think there should be, considering those people are a little bit younger, the affected children. So I believe there should be some kind of proper thinking and proper planning as far as reopening that is concerned. But that one has to do with also an accident. So we need to know that accidents also come, and nobody would want such a scenario to happen. And again, I would appeal to the government to really provide, especially for public schools, they provide enough funds so that we do not have situations whereby the schools are struggling. And I know they won't prioritize the areas of security and safety before they prioritize the area of basic needs like food and other things. So they need also to prioritize that particular area. And then let us also have that culture of observing the rules, observing the compliance precautions that have been put in place. Because the moment we do not comply with those precautions, what happens is that we end up also endangering our lives and endangering the life of others. So if we can be able to follow the rules, we have that culture, I believe it is a culture that can really help us. And also, thank you also for media like TV47 because of highlighting and educating these people regarding this particular matter.
Okay.
Otherwise, we appreciate.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Daktari. We shall be able to proceed and, have this conversation. Let's take a break so that you can show us more here. And then we shall be able to also go and, check your feedback, keep your questions, comments, and thoughts coming as well. You're watching The Daily Report. To stay with us.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries Beyond the Limit, Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching The Daily Report with me, George Maringa. Tonight, as we have a focus on matters school safety. Tonight, our guests are Jose Ngunjiri. He is already here in studio to be able to speak to us about matters safety in schools. He is also a safety fire officer. And also joining us virtually is Dr. Ombogo, who is a proprietor of 2 institutions in Embu County. And I just want to go through some of your feedback. You caught me going through some of it, and it is, regarding the topic of discussion tonight. Dominic Momanyi from Nyamira County. All is set on paper, but no implementation of those safety guidelines. My suggestion is as follows. 1, all dormitories should be powered with solar lighting. 2, training sessions in all schools about safety precautions. 3, if possible, my son's school is more congested, even circulation of fresh air is minimal. Please just make an impromptu visit to the school kindly. We shall also be forwarding, and I hope the authorities are able to see this. Hi, I am Samuel Mutambuki from Sinai Unified Organization in Mukuru, Viwandani, part of GR06 and GR06 Network for Fire Safety. Thanks, Jose, for good inputs on preparedness. We are supposed to prepare for fire safety, not to wait until we have an incident, including hospital. Thank you for your feedback. Keep it coming. Now, on this side of the studio, we have, the tools of trade that Jose uses, especially in his line of duty. And I want you to take us through, in a home scenario, in a school setup, what exactly can be done and what you can acquire and how to go about it. And you can take us through.
Yeah, so in a school setup, we need to have, you remember the safety committee we talked about?
Yes.
From that safety committee, we need to train people, or should I say students and staff, who are going to become fire marshals. Yes, so the older children, we are talking about 16 and above, they can handle the fire extinguishers much stronger.
Yeah.
So we get them to be fire marshals, but of course with guidance from the staff who are now the certified fire marshals. Certified meaning we've already trained you and we've certified you for at least 1 year for you to be able to take care of any happenings. Yes. One thing that we've not mentioned, George, is the kitchen. Has the kitchen staff been trained in that institution? So this kitchen staff need to be trained at least beginning of the term, and when the closing date is done, the children are gone, they are actually because they're still working, yeah, they are called and they are trained.
Okay.
In the school setup, it's not a must for them to have such equipment that I have. These are just the equipment during the day that I engage with.
Okay.
That gentleman who's in Tambuki is one of the guys that we equip and train in the slums to actually become what we call fire safety champions. These are the people who help in evacuation in the slum setup. Yeah, so they really don't have to have such equipment.
Okay.
They can just have overalls and maybe some gloves. These gloves are special because it's more like I can touch, what do we call it? Hot stuff, and it will not really penetrate the heat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also this PPE, which I encourage and I ask the government, please equip our fire stations with proper PPE. PPE is not just PPE. There's some PPE when you go, your whole body just lights up. Mm-hmm. I don't want to mention countries where they're from, but they need to have proper PPE. These boots, these are not just other boots from the shop. Mm-hmm. These are actually safety boots. If you step in front, George, here, it's metal.
It's
metal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that metal, if something falls on me as a fireman, I will be I will be okay. So safety starts. The government needs to take care of the firefighters so that we can take care of the taxpayers. So the government needs to see the win-win in this. Eh? Yeah. We have even the helmet. This helmet takes care of the falling ceiling debris and everything else. It's not just a normal helmet for construction. This is actually a crazy material, and it has some NFPA certification inside here that can be followed. I encourage them. They can reach out to us, and we'll be able to guide them on how to actually get to do it.
Okay. To a tool that is,
To a tool.
That should be gotten in every institution.
That we get to see everywhere.
Everywhere.
But the question is, George, do we know how to use it?
Show us. Teach us how to go about it.
This one can save lives. But people need to understand the government, there's another document from DOSH, Department of Safety and Health, that says we need to service these extinguishers after every 6 months. 6 months. Why? Because inside here, like for example, it's a powder extinguisher. There's powder here. It's pressurized inside. So the powder comes and settles, and we say it cakes. So the caking, it can be hard. So when there's danger, and I'm trying to shoot it onto the base of the fire, there's nothing that comes out. Yes, there is pressure, but nothing comes out because it has caked. So that 6 months, what happens, it's taken to the factory, removed again, sieved, everything, and then returned afresh, the powder. So how do you get to use this? Even before using, there's actually some safety measures. As you can see, there's a pin here. These are safety pin that even when I press it and I'm holding it, it will not remove it will not eject the content or the substance inside. But then when I remove and I press, which I will not, I need to press it. Where do you press it? There's a way that you do it. You pull out the pin, which I have. I don't know if the camera can show.
Yes.
This is the pin. You pull out the pin. You aim the nozzle. This black pipe is actually a nozzle at the base. At the base of where?
The fire.
The fire. Forget about the smoke. Forget about the fire itself. You shoot at the base of the fire. Once you shoot at the base of the fire, you're actually dealing with the origin of the fire. So you squeeze the lever. So what I'm holding is the handle, and this at the top is the lever. Yes, it is the lever. So you press it. Now, for those who are not very strong, it's not a must that you lift it and spray. You can even put it down. Personally, I'm a firefighter, certified firefighter. But when I'm using the fire extinguisher because of my disability, I cannot be able to lift it comfortably. So I usually love to handle it when it's down. So how far are you supposed to handle it? Don't go too near. You get at least 1.5. You remember the time for COVID? 1.5
meters.
So that's about it. I can be here, and then the fire is there, I shoot it. Now, very important. Don't shoot the fire and the door is there behind you. You get what I mean? You need to shoot the fire when you're there, and I'm standing here, so that if it is uncontrollable, I can be able to run outside. Very important, even as we close, when we are using the fire extinguisher, call the fire brigade.
Yes, in cases of a fire, even with the school, if I'm a neighbor and I neighbor the school and I see a fire, what's the first call that I should make?
The first call you should do is call the fire brigade before even thinking about fighting the fire. For example, the fire brigade number in Nairobi is a 6-digit number, 020 22 22 181. I repeat, 020 22 22 181. That's for Nairobi. And call. They will show up. Most people say that the fire brigade come late. But did you call fast? Did you know that a fire multiplies double after every 10 seconds? Imagine that. So by the time it's out of control, the whole building is gone. So call, by the time they reach here, at least they have the paraphernalia, the equipment to actually deal with the
fire.
The fire.
Okay. Yeah. And let's even go to the home setup. Even when kids are on holiday, can someone just decide, apart from when the school is able to offer these lessons and these trainings for fire, I mean, what are some of the ABCs that perhaps at home someone can say, I also need to be compliant, even as I'm sending my child to a learning institution?
So number one, I advise people, have a fire extinguisher in the home. Yes, that's one of the SOPs in the homes. Have a fire extinguisher and what do we call it? A first aid kit. Yeah, you can always call on firefighters in your county and consultants like us to actually get to teach you on how to use this. Personally, we do it during the holiday. We train the house help. I'm passionate about house helps because you see now the house help left me in the home.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, what if they could have followed that one rule that the parents told them not to leave that baby in the house? I could have had limbs, Things could have been different. Things could have been different. But because of them not following instructions and they need to constantly be trained, that's where now we come in and be able to assist them towards being compliant in the home, not adding water into hot liquid cooking oil. Your oil has already it's already boiling with water, with the fire. What agent do you use? So if you add water, it changes its matter into gas and then quickly burns you properly.
What matter should they use, just for context?
Number one, if you don't have a fire extinguisher, you can use a lid and cover it, and then now that's when you are smothering it. You are killing off the oxygen. If you don't have a lid, you can use baking powder. Yeah, the one that baking powder for making chapati, and not is it chapati or mandazi? Cake. Yeah. Yes. Number three, use flour for cooking mandazi and chapati. Don't use maize flour. Maize flour has actually, research has said, maize flour actually reignites back again because it has bigger granules. So the fire will, the oxygen will find its way inside and then it will reignite. Okay. Even use soil. Soil is a very good solution too. And also a fire blanket. Yes, you can also use a fire blanket. And those are the two things you need to invest in. A fire blanket and a fire extinguisher.
So schools can get fire blanket,
extinguishers. That's mandatory.
Okay.
In fact, the schools that don't have fire blankets and fire equipment have not trained their staff.
And where should they be placed? In classrooms, everywhere?
No, they need to be not inside the classroom, at the corridor, the hallways of the school. The homes, our homes need to have smoke alarms. Do you know they're so affordable? It's just 1,000 bob. Yeah, in town. Just go in town and say, I want a smoke, whatever. In supermarkets, they have it. They're so affordable. What other thing that they need to know? Have a fire drill in the home. Have you trained your children on how to actually evacuate from their home, from the bedroom to the car park, and who are they going to call? So those are the aspects that we need to adopt. Because once we have a culture put inside of us, it will be second to nature. When this child comes from home and comes to school, they'll go like, excuse me, teacher, I think we need to have a fire drill. For me to be safe, we need to have a fire drill. Because it started at home, and me as the parent actually got to start it off. You start them young, by the time they're adults like us, do you think they're going to burn schools?
No. So, Jose, you can look into that camera and, talk to Kenyans, including your closing remarks regarding this whole containment of fires and what to do, especially in emergencies and tragedies.
Yeah. what I'd like to tell Kenyans is basically safety starts with you. You know, don't be a hero towards actually saving fire, saving lives. If you are not safe, please don't put yourself on harm's way. Your family needs you at home. Number 2, don't encourage being unlawful. If you find somebody, if it's your neighbor's child who's dealing in drugs and they're going to school, remember that baby who's innocent in school might actually be in danger because you didn't report this child to the authorities. You're building the nation by actually saying, hey, this particular kid is being unruly and they need help, you know. So you're going to help us, firefighters, by reporting cases of unruliness. Number 3, and very important, do not throw stones to firefighters. We did not come late. It is us, or the community, who did not call us early in advance. So call us early. Do not throw stones in these fire trucks. These fire trucks belong to you, the taxpayer. So if you throw rocks at them, tomorrow we shall not have any car to respond to you because it will not be roadworthy. Number 4, make sure you practice evacuation drills in your home. I cannot emphasize on that. Practice fire safety drills and make sure that you're compliant from the home until your workplace. And you, the proprietor of the school, you, the board member, you, the school member, being the parent, please support the principals of these schools when they say, hey, we need to have drills. We need to have drills, support them so that our children can be safe. These children are the future of Kenya.
Indeed.
Thank you.
The future of Kenya. Dr. John Mukundi is still on the line. Daktari, you've heard and seen what is going on, the safety procedures that we've talked about. He has challenged, the establishment of the school board. Perhaps you can talk to us about that. Is it happening in your areas of, your institutions, and of course your final thoughts as we wind up tonight?
Yeah, one of the prerequisites that the ministry, when they are registering any learning institution, that they require you to have is actually to have a school board. And therefore, that one we already have in our both institutions, and they check also the minutes, whether we have the minutes for the meetings. So it is not just establishing people you want, it is simply doing the best. But you find some of the proprietors who just look for their friends, and that is it. But we require some people, like in Royal Fanaka Academy, we have composed people from the community of the students, the pupils that we have, some of the parents that we have, and therefore they help us in managing that particular institution. So it is something that we have done. And I believe if we can be able to follow whatever our fire expert has actually shown us, it will become a great thing. So I believe all is not lost, and we can purpose as an educationist to begin from where we are. We try our level best so that everything now works in accordance to how it should work.
Indeed. Thank you so much. That has been Dr. John Mukundi, Director, Achievers College and Royal Fanaka Academies, joining us all the way from MB. Thank you, Daktari, and have a good night. Indeed, and here in studio, we've been joined by Jose Njoki Imwengunjiri, a fire safety officer, also with Africa Fire Mission. Thank you so much for sharing your nuggets.
You're welcome.
And we look forward to having another conversation next time.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed, and thank you so much for your feedback. I am George Maringa. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. The conversation continues online. Good night from Nairobi.